A faint glow pierces the early morning darkness in a quiet Houston suburb, just enough to outline trimmed lawns, silent sidewalks, and rows of pristine houses. On any other day, the residents here would be waking to the hum of air conditioners and the distant bark of a neighbor's dog. But not this morning. Suddenly, a frantic 911 call cuts through the pre-dawn hush. The voice on the line trembles, struggling to form words. "There have been gunshots. I think my parents have been shot." The call is brief but desperate. Within minutes, police lights flicker against the manicured hedges, casting blue-red shadows that dance across the driveway of a house everyone recognizes as the Anderson home. Officers step inside cautiously. The living room is neat, decorated with trophies and family portraits. Yet an unsettling tension lingers, like the atmosphere before a summer storm. Upstairs, they discover the master bedroom door ajar. Two figures lie motionless, pillows covering their heads. For a moment, it feels as though the entire house holds its breath. Then the smell of gunpowder settles in, cold and unmistakable. One detective notices a crumpled piece of paper on the kitchen counter. The note reads, "I have been watching you for a long time. Come get me." No signs of forced entry. Doors and windows are locked. Everything suggests this nightmare unfolded from within. In that charged silence, a single question takes shape. Could any family hide such fractures beneath a picture-perfect exterior? It's a question that will linger over every breath of this investigation. An ominous reminder that what appears solid can shatter in an instant. Before tragedy struck, the Andersons were the kind of family neighbors admired, and local media occasionally spotlighted. Andrew Anderson, a retired NFL linebacker, looked every bit the star athlete, even years after leaving the field. He channeled his competitive spirit into coaching youth sports and appearing at charity events, his broad smile captured in countless photos with aspiring players. Dana Anderson, his wife, matched his warmth and energy, always the first to organize a fundraiser, always the one who remembered everyone's birthday. Together, they radiated a sense of unity and success. Their teenage son, Adam, grew up amid this glow of achievement. In earlier years, he'd been outgoing, a kid who struck up conversation with strangers in a grocery line, who once sold homemade lemonade and gave half the proceeds to a local shelter. But by 16, people noticed small changes. He became quieter, his friends saw him less, and his once easy laughter dwindled into monosyllabic grunts. Dana confided in a close friend that she felt powerless to reach him. Andrew, seasoned by the discipline of professional sports, tried tackling Adam's issues head-on. He believed accountability could fix slipping grades, rule-breaking, and whatever else might be plaguing his son. But Adam pushed back, leaving the family in a cycle of tense standoffs and tearful reconciliations. Rumors circulated that Adam was experimenting with substances. Teachers reported he often missed assignments. Neighbors sometimes overheard loud arguments at odd hours, though they never saw physical confrontations. In public, however, the Andersons maintained a respectful, if strained, front. They'd appear at a community picnic, Andrew flipping burgers, Dana chatting about upcoming charity drives, and Adam hovering in the background with an unreadable expression. It was easy to assume they'd worked through these normal teenage challenges. The Anderson name carried weight. Andrew's face beamed from a framed photo on the local rec center's wall. And Dana's volunteer efforts had earned her a glowing reputation. No one suspected the cracks under that polished surface ran so deep. Then came the morning of the shootings. The news that Andrew and Dana were found in their own bedroom, pillows over their heads, shot at close range, struck the neighborhood like lightning. And even as the community mourned, a darker puzzle emerged. Was Adam, the boy they'd known since he was toddling across the lawn with a football, somehow at the center of this unimaginable crime? Police arrived to find Adam visibly shaken, insisting he'd heard 2 gunshots and glimpsed a masked intruder fleeing the house. No smashed windows, no pried-open doors. The alarm system, still engaged, should have blared if someone forced an entry. Yet, it remained silent. Officers noted the eerie calm of the living room, the trophies and family portraits watching over a scene that made no sense. Upstairs, the weight of the moment hung thick in the air. Andrew was still breathing, just barely, but Dana had no pulse. Medics rushed Andrew to the hospital, where he clung to life for a few hours before succumbing to his wounds. In the master bedroom, investigators discovered bullet casings and a disturbing detail. The pillows covering each victim's face seemed carefully placed. Nothing looked random. One detective walked the perimeter of the house. The grass was undisturbed, flower beds pristine. Neighbors confirmed they'd slept through the night without hearing commotion. No dogs barking, no suspicious shadows lurking in the street. It was as if violence simply materialized inside the Anderson home, then vanished without a trace. Then there was the note. "I have been watching you for a long time. Come get me." The pen used to scribble those words was still on the counter. It felt almost too convenient, as though staged to divert blame. Adam's story about the intruder grew more inconsistent with each telling. Initially, he couldn't describe the suspect, only that someone darted past in the dark. Hours later, he mentioned a tall figure dressed in black. Investigators asked tough questions. Why weren't there footprints or forced entry? Could the alarm system have been bypassed from the inside? Neighbors' impressions trickled in. One recalled hearing raised voices between Andrew and Adam a week earlier, though they couldn't parse the argument's content. Another mentioned Adam pacing the driveway late at night, muttering to himself. A friend from school said Adam used to be outgoing, but had recently become withdrawn, maybe even paranoid. A more troubling narrative began to form once talk surfaced about Adam's recent behavior at home. There was a bullet hole in the ceiling near his bedroom, supposedly the result of Adam test-firing his father's gun. A small burn mark on the staircase, rumored to be from a minor fire Adam started in anger. Each detail alone might seem like teenage mischief. In the context of a double homicide, however, every piece felt loaded with ominous potential. Yet, not everyone believed Adam was involved. A few insisted some outsider must have targeted the Andersons, someone with a personal vendetta against Andrew for reasons unknown. But with every shred of physical evidence pointing inward, investigators found that explanation increasingly hard to swallow. The next few days brought more questions than answers. Grieving relatives struggled to reconcile the loving family they knew with the horrific implications swirling around Adam. Friends who once saw him as a sweet, if troubled, teen now eyed him with suspicion. Meanwhile, the note on the counter lingered in everyone's minds, a taunt or a trap, signifying a nightmare that refused to align with the Andersons' glowing reputation. Detectives quickly broadened their scope. Forensic teams combed through every inch of the home, snapping photos, collecting fibers, and documenting possible footprints on the carpet. They also checked security records showing that no windows or doors were forced open that night. Still, someone had been moving around inside the house at the time of the shooting. Text messages between Adam and his parents added fuel to the investigation. Adam complained he was done, with expectations he felt were suffocating, while Andrew threatened to revoke privileges if Adam didn't straighten up. Dana, ever the peacemaker, tried to calm tensions but grew increasingly frustrated by what she described as Adam's impulsive choices. One rumor pointed investigators toward Jake, Adam's older half-brother living in another city. Some insisted Jake had a long-standing grudge against Andrew, though details were murky. Yet law enforcement found scant evidence tying Jake to the scene. He was working out of state at the time, and cell phone data placed him nowhere near Houston. Soon more disturbing facts came to light. Forensic experts discovered tiny blood droplets matching Andrew's DNA on Adam's shirt, placing him inches from the gunshot. Adam insisted he'd touched his injured father in a desperate attempt to help, but investigators felt the pattern looked different than simple contact. Police also revisited the bullet hole in the ceiling near Adam's bedroom. Adam claimed it was a freak accident, but close friends reported Andrew had been furious about it, accusing Adam of recklessness that could have endangered the entire family. Even the small burn mark on the staircase re-entered the conversation. Adam shrugged it off as no big deal. Others saw it as a sign of pent-up anger, a fuse waiting to blow. As the evidence stacked up, the question shifted from, did Adam do it, to, can we prove it beyond a doubt? But just as hope for answers seemed lost, Day 14 of the investigation unearthed a digital bombshell. A forensic scan of Adam's phone uncovered late-night internet searches about firearms and possible legal consequences for accidental shootings. There were also text messages to a friend in which Adam confessed he was feeling cornered. These digital breadcrumbs painted a picture of a teen wrestling with more than standard adolescent angst. Adam now faced trial for capital murder, a teen accused of killing his own parents. Media outlets latched onto the sensational angle. A former NFL star and his wife murdered, their teenage son at the center of a swirl of conflicting theories. The case soon dominated local headlines, with questions around juvenile justice adding a moral dimension. Would a jury truly believe a 16-year-old could premeditate such a crime? Or were they dealing with a lost child, doomed by a tragic accident? Prosecutors went into the first trial, confident in their narrative. No forced entry, suspicious notes, digital evidence, and forensics seemingly placing Adam at the scene. They believed the story told itself. But trials have a way of shifting direction, especially when juries grapple with the emotional weight of convicting a teen. Despite the arsenal of evidence, the first trial ended in a hung jury. Some jurors found the scenario too horrific to accept at face value. Others wanted more definitive proof. The second trial replayed similar arguments, with added emphasis on security system data. No outside breach, no shadowy figure caught on neighbors' cameras. But again, mistrial. A second deadlock left the community reeling, and the Anderson family's relatives stuck in a purgatory of grief and unanswered questions. By the time the third trial arrived, prosecutors refined their case to a razor's edge. They presented the newly analyzed DNA evidence in stark terms. Tiny droplets of Andrew's blood were found on Adam's shirt, suggesting he stood just inches away when the gun was fired. Forensic technicians testified about the pillows covering each victim's head, suggesting a deliberate attempt to muffle shots. Cell phone data contradicted Adam's initial statements about when he discovered his parents, while alarm logs reiterated that no external breach took place. The prosecution also wove in emotional testimony from close friends who'd witnessed the growing strain between Adam and his father. They underscored the seriousness of Adam's alleged drug use, his academic free fall, and the repeated warnings Andrew and Dana had issued. Another expert explained how the note on the counter felt staged, written with the same pen left so conveniently nearby. Still, the defense argued, where's the direct confession? Where's the video footage? They painted Adam as a troubled teen, yes, but not a cold-blooded murderer. Grasping at the possibility of another culprit, they implied that someone else, perhaps with a grudge against Andrew, exploited the family's friction to commit a perfect crime. Yet, with each piece of evidence laid bare, that theory weakened. After marathon deliberations, the jury returned a verdict, guilty of capital murder. Adam, just 16 at the time of the crime, was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 40 years. The courtroom fell silent, and the emotional toll felt staggering. Relatives of Andrew and Dana wept, torn between relief that someone was held accountable and heartbreak at the knowledge that the convicted killer was their own flesh and blood. Adam's sentence closed the case, but it couldn't erase the ghostly echo of a family that once laughed in that silent house. In the aftermath, Houston grappled with the tragedy. Debates about juvenile justice flared across social media. Could any sentence truly mend the emotional wreckage? Onlookers wrestled with the image of a father who mentored countless kids, and a son now forever branded as the boy who tore his family apart. We're left to wonder, how well do we really know the ones closest to us? And how quickly can hidden tensions become unthinkable acts? The Anderson case exposed deep cracks in a seemingly perfect family, reminding us that smiles and trophies can hide storm clouds swirling just beneath the surface. Adam's conviction provides a legal ending, but not a comforting one. The house where Andrew and Dana once radiated warmth now stands as a silent testament to a life interrupted. Their memory lingers in old photographs, half-finished community projects, and the minds of neighbors who still pass by that manicured lawn, forever changed. If this story left you questioning how fragile family bonds can be, hit subscribe. Behind every tragedy lies a lesson. Help us uncover them. Let me know your thoughts, theories, or insights in the comments below. Remember, sometimes the greatest mystery is the turmoil unfolding right before our eyes. Stay safe and take care of those you love.